Hard to believe, but it is football season. Hi, everybody. Bill Huddleston, along with the head coach of the Muskogee Roughers, Rafe Watkins. Entering season number 3 after week 1, big man. I know you got to be all smiles.
Well, we're excited, to go down to Midwest City. Not too many people go in there and come out with a victory. And fortunately for the Roughers, that's what we were able to do. Went down there and had a little bit of delay to start the game. Kids stayed focused, come out. We're given some opportunities early. They had 4 turnovers that we should have capitalized on. I think we only came out with 3 points at that time. But we also helped ourselves. We didn't have the turnovers, but we dropped 4 what should have been for sure touchdown passes also. So, it looked like 2 teams that needed that second scrimmage there in the first half. It was a pretty sloppy game in the first half. One thing I was proud of was our penalties. We only ended up with, I think, 3 penalties for 20 yards on the night.
0 turnovers.
0 turnovers was a huge thing, and pretty solid in our kicking game. We made a field goal. We did get the 1 extra point block, but the little things that you're always talking about that first game that you worry about is turnovers, penalties, and kicking game. And so through all that, I think we did enough. Obviously did enough to win the ball game, but it was pretty clean for the most part.
I know, Coach, that there had to be some Saturday morning quarterbacks up in the stands and watching our live stream broadcast on RougherTV that were wondering there maybe earlier on in the game, why not go for the 3-point field goal? But given the field position, that was the decision and right decision to make. But then when called upon, Trent Dennis came in and he knocked it home.
Well, in the pre-games, we felt like that with the humidity was real hard, I mean, it was heavy. The ball wasn't carrying like you would think. And normally, Trent on a normal day, we feel like he's pretty comfortable around 40 yards. The other night, we felt like it was around 30 yards to be comfortable with it. And so the one time that we did have the 30-yarder, we went ahead and kicked it and made it. And, hindsight's always easier to go back, after we didn't make it. I said, well, I wish we'd have kicked it. If we'd have tried to kick, well, at 4th and 2, we should have tried to make it. So, hindsight's always easier to do. But it ended up good for us, and Trent did. He did a really good job kicking. I think Kel Hutchins did a really good job of kicking the ball off, too. Put the one in the end zone there in the second half, and we'll rotate both of those on kickoffs. It just depends on what we're wanting. People will figure that out in a heartbeat. But if we got good conditions, Kel's going to put it in the end zone most of the time. If we got wind in our face, or again, if the air's heavy like it was the other night, and we feel like we need to, we'll high pooch. And Trent's a little bit better in directional kicking, and so he'll handle those duties.
We've got some highlights for you to look at. We'll do that a little bit later on in our program. But our next segment is going to be talking with Keondre Davis, a guy that is affectionately known as Bruiser. He'll explain why, or Coach will, that after this time out here on TV 15.
This time out, brought to you by Broadway Vision Associates, 435 West Broadway Street in Muskogee, Oklahoma.
Welcome back here on TV 15, Muskogee Rougher Football Coaches Show. Myself, along with head coach Rafe Watkins, and in the middle of us is one big guy, Rafe Watkins. Introduce our player of the week.
Well, this is Keondre Davis. Most people know him as Bruiser. He is our player of the week. Had an outstanding game for us defensively. Had 10 tackles, 7 of them was solo, 3 assists. Had caused a fumble and recovered a fumble, and just had a great overall game. And then also played offensive tackle for us over on the offensive side of the ball.
Obviously, he had a big impact, and big because of his physical size, but more because of his statistics, as Coach just talked about. Keondre, how excited were you to get the season started and then to make that first contact?
It was so exciting. Well, we've been training for Midwest City for the longest, and I feel like we was ready.
Now, it was a little bit humid, and I know for us big guys, that means a lot of heat, a lot of perspiration. How are you able to keep yourself at a top-notch performance level? Because you're going not just defense, as Coach mentioned, but also offensively.
Yeah, I drink a lot of water, and I run a lot. The coach told me to start running, so I ran on weekends.
What was kind of the mood in the locker room? How did it change? Let me maybe put it that way. How did it change from what it was at halftime to what it ended up at the end of the game when the Roughers walked out with that season-opening win?
Oh, it changed a lot tremendously. We were so excited at the end. At the halftime, it was like we thought our heads was down, but at the end, we was excited. We turned up.
Okay, so obviously you can tell that the Roughers are beginning to turn the corner. Don't want to say we're all the way down Main Street, Rafe, but certainly this big guy in the middle of us is going to be a big reason for success here in 2016.
Right. He, along with his teammates, are making giant strides, as he said, and just seeing some of the things that we were able, we had the 45-minute delay before the game started. I was really concerned with when I went back down there after talking to Coach and finding out the delay, what it would be like when the kids were focused, and I knew we had a really good chance then. And like I said, at halftime it was more focused. The kids they realized that we should have been ahead at halftime, but it was close if we go out and take care of business, and therefore they did in the second half. We're really proud of them.
Bruiser, one last question for you. Because you do go both ways, offense and defense, you got a preference which way you like to play more?
I like defense more. I like tackling.
I think he likes to leave a bruise on his opponent when they come his way. He wears 70. He's pretty easy to spot out there on the field. Keondre Davis, you'll know him as Bruiser. We know him as our Player of the Week here on TV 15. Back with more of the Rougher Coaches Show, that after this timeout.
This timeout brought to you by Broadway Vision Associates, 435 West Broadway Street in Muskogee, Oklahoma.
Bill Huddleston with Rafe, Watkins. Keondre Davis is a big impact player, but there were a lot more big impact plays, Coach. We're going to see some of those in our highlight package this week. You as the head coach and all the assistants had to be extremely happy when you were able to look at the film.
We were. You go back on it, and as we always say, Saturday morning it was up there, and some things that we thought we did pretty good on it. It was okay, and some things that we were a little concerned with, it wasn't quite as bad. So, the OI in the sky doesn't lie. So we were able to see, we're able to make some corrections, and again, very fortunate to go down to Midwest City and come out of there with the victory.
16-12 was the final score, and like Coach said earlier, it was a 45-minute delay before we got going. The Roughers finally got their machine rolling in the second half and put the victory on the board. Let's go to the highlight video and take a look at some of this week's play highlights, Coach.
I think this right here is just right after probably the biggest plays that we've had since I've been here. There was a goal line stand down there, and that's what I'm more proud of our kids. And of course, that's Elijah there going with about a 55-yard run. But that goal line stand was so big for us down there because in the times past, they're on the 3-yard line. They've moved the ball up and down the field. A lot of times kids will just fold and say, well, there's no way we're going to keep them out here.
There was a second effort by Mo getting into the end zone.
That's what gave us the 16.
We got the sack, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But was able to hold them there and then go on that 95-yard drive. And I think there's certain plays and series that highlight. That's Cameron right there.
Yeah, exactly.
Again, just
Gold
running
shoes and
over
all.
people. But there's things that you look for in your season that can be turning points, and I really think that goal line stand and then the 95-yard drive after that was the huge thing. Joseph Combs right there, again, I think he's going to have a big season for us. Coming through that, DJ Mays. DJ, he needed that. He had dropped one that was a sure touchdown earlier in the game, so that for his confidence, that was great. And then here's just some of the good defensive play. Philip Duncan, he's out for the first time. He's always been a soccer player. Decided to come out. This is part of that goal line stand here.
See Bruiser on top of the pile. Parker Hall also in there.
Tell you, we had Jordan Warden was our leading tackler with 11 tackles the other night. Had a really good game. Christian Mayer's another one that caused a fumble and got one. Our big kids up front, Michael Buchanan really had a good game as well. Defensively, I thought is about with as explosive as their offense was. I think that's about as good a defensive game against a quality opponent that we've played since in the 3 years I've been here.
Well, certainly Midwest City had the athletes to create things, and the Roughers created their own havoc defensively, and the offense had enough firepower to capitalize when given that second and third and fourth opportunity. Now that's all in history books now. That's last week, a 16-12. First time the Roughers have been 1-0 since the 2010 campaign. But now you come back to Muskogee Creek Nation Field Indian Bowl Friday night against the McAllister Buffaloes, a team that's going to be hungry for a victory because they lost their Week 1 game.
They did. They went up to Bartlesville, got beat 27-24, was inside the 10 or 15 a couple or three different times that they didn't score. Probably should have won that ball game. They've got a very good group of kids. They're used to winning tradition. They beat us the last 2 years. They jumped out on us 16-0 last year. We came back and got ahead and then fumbled late, which gave the game away to them. And that's been a bitter taste in our mouth. We know that we've got to play a lot cleaner. The kids, I wanted them to enjoy this win, and I saw exactly what I wanted to Monday when they came to practice. They weren't talking about the big win. It was excitement. I wanted them to enjoy the weekend because it is a big win. But now then it's all for naught if we come down and lay an egg against McAllister on our opening home game, and having the reunions and stuff that we're having. So practice real good on Monday. We'll find out the rest of the week. But we know that we're going to have to play a lot cleaner ball game offensively, especially. Defense, we're going to have that same effort. Offensively, we got to click on all cylinders in order to come out with a victory.
The Roughers will be at home. It's a 7 o'clock kickoff at Muskogee Creek Nation Field at Indian Bowl, and like Coach alluded to, it is kind of a reunion night because members of the 1986 Muskogee State Championship football team are going to return to where they set history in place. The last time the Roughers won a state championship gold ball was '86, and we hope to see many of them there, and we hope to see you there. If for some reason, though, Coach, they can't make it, they can always turn in to RougherTV each and every Friday night. We'll have our pregame countdown to kickoff at 6:30 and the game from Indian Bowl against McAllister at 7. For Rafe, Watkins, and our guest this week, Keondre Davis, I'm Bill Huddleston. Rougher Football here on TV 15 says, see you Friday night at Indian Bowl.